Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Lily G, who says, am I the arsehole for ruining my cousin's life by existing, being pregnant, and allegedly stealing her baby name? Now, before we do get into this story, I do want to give you a trigger warning. There is talk of miscarriage within this story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. So, I, 18 female, have always had weird drama with my cousin Casey, 23 female. For some reason, she's always had this bizarre obsession with being in competition with me, while loving my older sister, 24 female, like she's God's favorite. No idea why. I gave up trying to figure it out years ago. For context, she lived with us from middle school up to now because of family issues, and even then she treated me like a punching bag, calling me a worthless piece of shit, ugly, and tried to make me feel like nothing. And unfortunately, it worked for a while. I hid under baggy clothes, avoided people, and had zero confidence. Fast forward to junior high. I started finding myself, made some friends, got a little style, and learned makeup from my sister, and got into my 90s baggy clothes but cute era. Casey hated every second of it, claimed I was copying her. She wore baggy hoodies and sweats with Crocs every day. It got worse when I got a boyfriend. He was 16, I was 15, and she deadass tried to steal him by telling him her body was better than mine, and he would love seeing her up under her clothes. My mum had to intervene multiple times, while my dad kept telling me to let it go. She's been through a lot. Spoiler alert, she's been through a lot her entire life according to everyone. I graduated high school early at 16 with honors and college credits. She hated it and called me a dumb prick who wouldn't get far. She didn't even come to my graduation. Meanwhile, she dropped out of college twice. Rejection? I think yes. What made it worse was I found out I was pregnant in November, and Casey immediately started telling family I didn't know who the father was, that it could be multiple men, and even told my dad the father was over 31. Mind you, I've been with my boyfriend for 2 years at this point. When no one believed her messy ass, she tried to take the attention off of me and got pregnant herself. She admitted to this, but sadly, she miscarried in February. We were all there for her. I even wore baggy clothes so she wouldn't feel triggered seeing my bump. Still, every time I had a craving or talked about my pregnancy, she made it about her. Would literally cry at the dinner table because it should have been her. Dramatic, right? Then, when I announced my baby's name, she went and got a custom blanket made with the same name, her due date, and the day she miscarried, claiming I stole it, when the name was my mum's mother name, who she has no relation to. She's my dad's niece. I kept the name also. Today's episode, we're planning my baby shower, talking about decorations and food when she loudly scoffs from the living room. No one cares. We ignore her. We said the baby's name again, and she goes, a name you stole from me. I rolled my eyes, cause why are you still on this? I'm showing my mum a pic of a custom car seat cover I ordered. She storms in with her own baby stuff she bought before the miscarriage, mumbling, hopefully I don't steal her ideas. Like I have most of her things already, I don't want your ideas. Once again, I ignored her, and my mum told her she loved them. Once she sees me not caring, she then went full-on explode mode, accuses me of copying her, being jealous, needing to heal before I bring a baby into this world, and randomly brings up the hormonal hygiene struggles I've been having lately, that she overheard me talking about, like what the fuck. We left to the backyard where my sister was, and this woman followed us out screaming, saying we treat her worse than her own parents did. Big lie. My parents have babied her for years while she treated me like dirt. My dad eventually came upstairs from the basement because she was so loud, asked what was going on, and for once, instead of coddling her, he went off. He straight up said, Casey, for God's sake, I love you, but what is your problem? You pick fights constantly, you play victim, and you're not in middle school anymore. If you want to stay here, you need to get your act together. I can't keep doing this with you, or you picking with a teenager who has nothing to do with you." She was shell-shocked, stormed to her room, packed a bag, and left. Later, she texted me this: "You've won. I can't fight you anymore. You've always ruined my life, even when I was with my parents. You were always the favorite, and I always hated you. You ruined everything for me." And now, I kind of feel bad. I didn't respond, and no one's heard from her since. So in the same post, OP gives an edit, update, additional information, whatever you want to call it. They said, "Hey you guys, I'm honestly overwhelmed by all the responses. I didn't expect this to blow up like it did, but thank you so much for the kindness, advice, and support. I wanted to answer some of the questions I've been seeing a lot in the comments. 1. Was she the youngest girl before me? Yes. She was the last girl born for 5 years before I came along. Our family is mostly boys with a few girls here and there, so I do think that may have played a part in how she felt about me. 2. About me being a teen mum. I turned 19 in a couple of weeks. I've been independent since I was able to work at 15, and I've even had my own small business that's slowly growing. I still live with my parents for now, but I can handle my own life for the most part. 3. Why didn't my parents get her into therapy? My mum has tried several times to convince my dad to get us all into therapy, but he's one of those people who doesn't believe in it. He's always told us to pray or write it down instead, which honestly did help me at times growing up, but she definitely needed professional help and still does. I've asked him recently to consider it, and he just rolled his eyes and ignored me. 4. My parents' ages. My mum is 46 and my dad is 57. They've been married since 1998, so about 26 years now. 5. What happened with her parents? Her dad was physically abusive to both her and her mum. Her mum helped her run away and sent her to live with us. Well, she stayed behind. We live on the East Coast and they were all the way in Oakland, California. As for contact, no, we haven't spoken to them since they lost custody of her. 6. Why was I so nice to her? Because I genuinely looked up to her. My older sister was never really around much and I thought she and I could be close like sisters. I really wanted that. 7. Was there favoritism? Not really, no. I feel like we were treated fairly for the most part. If anything, she got a little more attention and was doted on more, probably because of what she had been through. I only got extra toys when I was little because I was 4 years old and too small to do the stuff they did. 8. Where is she now? No one has heard from us since she left. She's blocked all of us, and as far as we know, she doesn't have a job or anywhere stable to go, which honestly makes me nervous because it's likely she'd try to come back eventually. So we're keeping our eyes open and being cautious. Look, it sounds like Casey's been through a lot. There was mentions of she's been through a lot throughout the post, and obviously the miscarriage as well, which is absolutely awful. Again, super traumatic, which might explain some of the behaviors that we're seeing, but as always, what we always say in this situation, it doesn't excuse it. And to me, it sounds like the adults in this situation have failed both girls in this hugely. The pray it away or just write it down approach to their mental health is just, it pisses me off, to be quite honest. I've seen this kind of attitude towards mental health in real life. You know, don't talk to professionals, just somehow magic it away in your head. It sounded like Casey needed some help from a very long time ago when she came from her home, which, you know, was a potentially abusive home, and immediately started taking out on OP, not sitting back and saying, you know, just let it go, she's been through a lot. And sure, the dad stepped in towards the end to say something, but I think that they helped create this mess by refusing to address what was there. But again, no excuses for her behavior, and I don't blame you for wanting to step away from this for now because I can't see it changing anytime soon. But TK says, and quotes, "A name you stole from me," and then says, "Bitch, you mean the name my grandmother stole from you? My mother's mother stole from you. Give up." Electrical Elk says, "When she was screaming at you, she was screaming about everything she hates about herself. She's jealous and has unresolved issues. She's unwell, but that's not a free pass to be abusive. Distance yourself as much as possible from her. Let her stay away." I'm sorry the adults in your life didn't protect you like they should have from her terrible behavior. Not the arsehole. Opie replied saying it means a lot hearing that, and yeah, I wish the adults had stepped in sooner too, but I'm grateful my dad finally saw it for what it is. I'm definitely focusing on keeping my distance and protecting my peace. Covert Pudding says not the arsehole. I'm glad your dad stepped in finally, but he should have stood up a few years ago and gotten her into therapy. That level of projection and resentment along with the bullying is super toxic and unhealthy. It sounds like you've been mostly grey rocking her and not giving her the reaction she wanted, which is really the best way to deal with her. Good luck going forward. Opie responds saying, thank you, and yeah, I agree it would have saved everyone a lot of stress if someone had stepped in years ago. He's the type of person that doesn't believe in therapy, so that wasn't on the list. Method Maven quotes that he doesn't believe in therapy and says, and now I feel a bit sorry for your cousin. Your dad has been her guardian for nearly a decade. She's obviously in a lot of mental pain, and yet he has failed to do anything to actually help her. And his lack of help has probably made her mental anguish worse. Opie responds saying, yeah, it's a really sad part of all of this. We've all needed therapy at one point, but he's very old school. Tough it out, deal with it when it comes to mental health. And it's done more damage than he realizes. I don't excuse how she treated me, but I can also acknowledge she's probably been drowning for years with no lifeline. It's just unfortunate she chose to lash out at me instead of accepting help, and now things are too broken to fix. It's a mess all around. And one more comment from Sinosaurus who says, damn, you are definitely not the arsehole, but your parents are for allowing this to happen under their roof. They didn't protect you from Casey, and it took things to escalate this much until your dad stood up for you. Since it's likely Casey might return, I'd recommend you talk to your parents so they set clear boundaries with her as she tries to come back. Firm boundaries that are broken will get her kicked out. No buts. If they don't agree, then it's time for you to set boundaries with your parents. They haven't protected you from your cousin. So, OP came in with an update and says Casey ended up coming back about 2 days later drunk and higher than ever. It was around 1 AM. I was asleep, but apparently my parents were still up watching a movie when she came in. My dad, who's a recovering alcoholic and has been sober since I was 14, was furious and disappointed. They tried to sit her down to talk, but she just cried and said she was tired and wanted to lay down. So they let her go upstairs. A little while later, my parents stepped outside to the back patio for a smoke break. Yes, both of them smoke occasionally. And of course, while they were outside and out of earshot, Casey came to my room. I woke up to her trying to open my door. Thankfully, it was locked. She started whisper shouting for me to open it, calling me a piece of shit and saying we needed to talk. When I told her to go away and then we could talk in the morning, she started banging on my door, kicking it, and was saying that I would never be prettier than her and that I was the ugly black sheep in the family. This again? Get help. I told her to go to bed again. But she wasn't done. She threatened me, saying if she saw me tonight, it wouldn't be good for me. At that point, I started recording and sent a video to my dad. He came rushing back inside and went off. He told her she wasn't going to stay another night in his house and she needed to start packing ASAP. That coming home drunk and bullying me again was unacceptable and she needed to figure out where she was going in the morning. She broke down crying again, claiming we were all she had and she just wanted to talk. My dad didn't budge this time. He told her the only person she needed to talk to was a therapist until she got professional help. She wasn't welcome here. She was shocked because, like I've said before, my dad's always been old school and kind of coddled her. But not this time. My mum came inside mid-conversation, sat her down and apparently had a heart-to-heart about how unacceptable it was for her to live in our home while treating me like garbage. I was watching the whole thing go down on the security cameras from my phone because yes, I'm that petty. But then my sister Monica starts texting me, taking Casey's side. It goes something like this. Monica said, OP, for once will you stop making it so hard with her? She only wanted to talk. OP responded, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm barely able to get out of bed. What do you expect me to do? I don't want to talk. Monica responded, I'm tired of you playing the victim like you're so innocent in this. Get over yourself. You're exhausting and it's getting harder to deal with. Opie responding, what have I done, Monica? I've cooked for you all, cleaned up after you all. I always tried to be nice, and neither of you do anything for me. If anything, you're exhausting. You're 24, you've got a degree and you won't even use it. Be real, stop texting me. Good night." I cried. I've always looked up to both of them, even after everything. But this was my breaking point. So here's where we're at now. Casey left the next morning to go stay with a friend. She's been texting and calling my parents, begging them to reconsider. But they're standing firm. If she wants to be a part of this family, she needs therapy first, no exceptions. As for Monica, we haven't spoken since those texts. My mum noticed and asked what was going on, but I told her to ask her daughter because I had nothing to say. I've officially uninvited both Monica and Casey from my baby shower. Neither of them will be involved with my baby, and my mum said it's my decision. So no Aunt Monica, no Cousin Casey. My dad's standing firm too. No more excuses, no more drama. And me, I'm focusing on my pregnancy, my business, and reclaiming my peace. This is supposed to be a happy time for me, and I'm done letting them take that away. I deserve to be excited about this baby without guilt. Thank you to everyone who's been so kind, offered advice, and reminded me I didn't have to tolerate this treatment. It means more than you know. Oh, dearie me, what an absolute mess. I'm really glad that OP's in some sort of relative safety at the moment, standing up for themselves and, protecting themselves and their baby. And I'm glad that the parents are finally protecting OP in this situation. But at the same time, I find myself annoyed. Not sure if I'm right in feeling that way, but it's the way that I feel that all this has happened way too late, It feels like it's something that should have happened years ago. Therapy should have happened years ago of some sort. But Mum was trying for therapy, but then just sort of gave up when Dad said no because you need to sort of just get through it by yourself. And that they helped create this whole mess by refusing to do anything about Casey's issues and just leaving OP to seem to manage everyone else's emotions. It's just wild. Again, that's no excuse for Casey's behavior at all. Clearly, she's gone through some trauma and she needs that help at some point, not to be taken out on OP like she had done. But what was with her sister in this as well? OP just trying to get to sleep when Casey comes banging on the door saying, she's going to get her basically. Just a whole messy situation, and in some points I felt like OP was the only emotional mature one in the story. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? What would you do if you was OP? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from the Am I Overreacting subreddit from Dry Instruction 3284, and it says, "Am I overreacting to my girlfriend going to her ex's birthday party without telling me? Hey Reddit, I'm 29 male and I've been dating my girlfriend Lena, 27 female, for about 10 months. Things have been great overall. She's funny, smart, independent, and we've talked about maybe moving in together next year. No major issues until this weekend. So here's what happened. On Saturday, Lena told me she was going out with a few friends from college. Cool, no problem. Had plans to watch the game with my brother anyway. But the next day, I saw a photo on one of her friend's Instagram stories. The caption said, "Happy birthday, Jason." I recognized Jason. He's her ex. The one she dated for about 3 years and broke up with about a year before we met. They were pretty serious from what I've gathered. Never made a big deal about it because she told me they're on decent terms, but not really close. So naturally, I asked her later that night, "Hey, were you at Jason's birthday thing?" She looked a little surprised and said yeah, but quickly followed up with, "It wasn't a big deal. It was a group thing and I didn't think it mattered." I didn't raise my voice or accuse her of anything. I just said I wish she'd mentioned it beforehand. She got kind of defensive and said I was making something out of nothing and that it's not like she was hiding it. But she kind of did hide it. I mean, I don't want to be controlling and I know people stay friends with their exes, but the fact that she didn't even mention she was going to his birthday rubs me the wrong way. It just feels off. I'm not accusing her of cheating or anything, but I can't shake the feeling that she intentionally kept it vague so I wouldn't ask questions. She said she didn't think I'd care, but the whole thing just makes me feel kind of sidelined. So Am I overreacting? And there was a lot of mixed comments on this one. Some people saying this is breakup worthy. Other people saying, she's not being completely honest about it. She said she was going out with friends, but actually it was an ex's birthday. For me, the behavior does feel shifty. I'm someone who believes, you can be friends with an ex or whatever, but I think you need to respect your own relationship at the same time. If you're going to an ex's birthday party, surely you'd just say to your partner, I'm going to an ex's birthday party. There could be a whole group of other people there that I'm also friends with. Is this going to be an issue? Otherwise, you see issues like this popping up. And I think her reaction to all this was pretty telling, for me anyway. But a commenter says to OP, I wouldn't be bothered if she was up front. Generally, it's reasonable to ask permission of your partner, if that's okay with your relationship dynamic to hang out with exes. Some people have great relationships with exes that don't have to be romantic, but it can be weird for their partners if they don't talk about it like a responsible partner would. And if after asking it isn't cool, great. Now two people know they have different ideas of how relationships work, and that's helpful to know. If it isn't cool, great, you all are compatible. It's still something someone should ask, not hide. And that's what I'm emphasizing here. Not asking or not even mentioning it makes someone that is otherwise not suspicious very suspicious. Orange, reddish flag. I don't know her well enough to call it a red flag. She could just be stupid. Sorry for the bluntness. Professional Duck says, was Lena, her friends and Jason all a part of the same friend group? Because it's weird how her friends are attending their friend's ex's birthday party if they aren't all in the same friend group. Not saying that she's cheating on you, but I do understand why you're uncomfortable about the whole situation, especially as she got all defensive instead of reassuring you. Churro says, not overreacting. When I was in college, my girlfriend at the time was debating what to do for her birthday, and at one point asked me if I'd be okay with her getting dinner with her ex-boyfriend who she was previously engaged to. This was my second relationship and I flipped out, lol. Like I freaked out that she even asked. At the time I was really hurt she asked, mainly because I was very insecure. She ended up having her birthday with her friends and I, but it really soured the relationship. I was kind of thrown out of whack and never really felt the same about her afterwards. We only dated for another month before I ended it. Follow your gut, OP. And one more comment from Kiki Girl who says, no, you're not overreacting. I think you actually reacted perfectly. I think intentionally not disclosing info is still lying. Anytime I'm going to be in a situation that I even slightly think my man would feel a type of way about, I always ask him. My fiance is so not controlling, very chill, but I never want him to feel betrayed by that. Now, if she was at a bar and the ex showed up, that's a completely different situation, but she went to a place she knew her ex would be and has never disclosed whether she is friends with him. Because I do feel like it's relatively normal to be friends with an ex, which is important to inform your partner of. I wouldn't exactly jump to cheating like you said, but it is sketch. I'd bring it up to her how uncomfortable it made you and just be honest about your feelings. If she invalidates or gaslights you, get out of that relationship and run, my guy. Lol. So, at some point later, OP did come in with her update and says thanks again to everyone who responded. I didn't expect the post to blow up the way it did, and honestly, I spent the last few hours sitting with it all. A few comments really stuck with me, especially the ones that pointed out it's not necessarily about where she went, but how she handled it. I ended up bringing it up when she came over this evening. Nothing dramatic. I just said I've been thinking about it and that it bothered me, not even the party itself, but the fact that she didn't mention it. She didn't seem surprised that I brought it up. There was a bit of an eye roll at first, but she didn't push back much, mostly quiet. The energy in the room shifted right away. She said something vague about not wanting it to be a thing. Not much of an apology, more like trying to smooth it over and move on quickly. Maybe that's what I'm doing too, in my own way. Afterward, we just kind of moved around each other for the rest of the evening. She left quickly after that, and right now I'm reading comments on my original post. I'm not sure where I land on all of this. Nothing exploded, but it also didn't feel resolved. She didn't seem interested in understanding why it bothered me, just in making sure it didn't mess with the vibe. It's not a breakup level thing. Not yet, but it does feel like something shifted in our relationship. That's all for now. Just figured I'd follow up. Thanks again. I'm not sure about OP's comment about the breakup level thing. I mean, it just feels very, very flat, the way that was dealt with. The quick exit, no genuine engagement, like talking about feelings. It sounded like afterwards when she came over, you just wanted to have a little conversation about it, but you was immediately dismissed. I rolled at not much of anything, and then she left. I mean, of course you're going to feel that something shifted after that. You just discovered that, you know, she'd rather dismiss any concerns rather than actually address them. And if that's your relationship, I mean, that's awful. But now, I'm going to turn this one to you guys. Where do you think this one is going? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's have one more little story that was in the top section of the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. Doesn't have an update as yet, but you know, I like a cheeky little one from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. It's from Nurse B89 and says, Am I the arsehole for ordering alcohol? I'm currently on a solo trip in Tenerife. All inclusive to save having to look for places to eat by myself. The hotel has club style seating, meaning that all tables are tables of 8 and people get sat together. Apparently it's to encourage a sense of community and conversation. Last night I was seated first and had a glass of wine. A family of 5 got seated at my table, 2 adults and 3 children. The mother turned to me and said, "We do not wish to expose our children to women drinking alcohol." I smiled and said perhaps they should ask to move tables if it was an issue, but I would be drinking the wine. They noticed I was on my own and made passive-aggressive comments about this. I went up to get food and on return the wine had disappeared. A waiter came over and asked to see my wristband for the all-inclusive and said the family told them I was underage and must have sneaked away from my parents. He was very apologetic and returned with a fresh glass of wine just as the family came back with their food. Am I the arsehole for them requesting the waiter brought me the full bottle along with a couple of shots of vodka? The family stormed out of the restaurant when I drank the shots as they arrived at the table. Hell no, not the arsehole. I mean, I gotta say about that seating arrangement, that sounds like my worst nightmare to be quite honest, but what are they on about? Is it just women drinking alcohol? Men are allowed apparently? And I think that family is going to hugely struggle. An all-inclusive in Tenerife. Those kids are going to have to walk around with blinkers on. And I quite enjoyed OP's level of pettiness there. I know it's not always helpful, but sometimes it just has to be done, right? But what would you do in this situation if it was you? Would you go with their request? The absolute cheeky bastards. But just before you go, I have to tell someone this because I haven't told anyone yet. I was coming back from Cyprus just recently. This isn't a long story, it's very short and very probably shit to be honest, but I was coming back from Cyprus recently on a budget airline. You know, they're absolutely cramped. They're row seats of 3. I was sat there in the middle of the seat, and in front of me, this guy came down and sat on the seat to the front and right of me. And in front of him was a mum and a young child. I'm guessing around 5, 6-ish maybe. Early morning flight, so it was like 2 in the morning or something like that. Flight was already delayed. Everyone was grumpy. The child in the very front fell asleep. And anyway, a couple of hours later, they bring coffees round. The guy in front of me got a coffee. I got a coffee as well. And I'm just sitting there, and the little girl in front of him suddenly woke up and she put her arm through the seat behind. I don't know if she was just like in a daze or whatever, and knocked his coffee cup. It's one of those disposable ones with a lid on, so it didn't really spill much, but it spilled a bit and it went over his lap, and he got pissed off like instantly. He sort of let out a growl. He was like, "Rrr." And the mum turned around and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, she just woken up. I didn't think she knew what she was doing," kind of thing. And he just went, "You need to control it." And everyone around was like, "Oh shit." And he went, "This is hot coffee." And I mean, nothing really much happened after that. They were just eyeballing each other for the rest of the flight. I kept watching them from behind, like in between the crack in the seats. So I was like, "Oh shit, what's going on over there?" You know, right nosy bastard. You guys know what I'm like. It seems wherever I go, I just attract drama. But the guy seemed like a bit of a right knobhead anyway. I was listening to him. I was listening to him, yeah, again, nosy bastard. Like before the plane was taking off, and the guy in front was sat with his wife, and on the end was a random woman, and they somehow got talking about where they've been before, and whatever this woman said, he would one-up her on something he did. And it's just like, "Oh, piss off, mate." Anyway, I've gone off on one as usual. I do apologize for keeping you. Just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. And I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.